All right, our next question is, do we need to have a planned major in order to sign up for CURB? Can we be undecided?
Yeah, so being undecided is great. The whole point of this whole thing is for you to figure out what you're interested in, whether it's for research or major or anything else that you want to do here. So yeah, there's absolutely no pressure going into the application or just the interest form to commit to anything. Same thing with PMP. If you're not sure what research field you want to go into, that's totally fine. Just pick one that you think you might be interested in. If you want to move, you're always free to do that.
Thank you. Our next question, is it too late to join as a junior? Can juniors and seniors join CURB 2? Is it only for freshmen and sophomores?
Yeah, so CURB is actually for any person that's willing to get involved, no matter where you are in the process. We're very happy to help juniors as well as sophomores and freshmen get involved, even seniors too, even at a presentation level. We do encourage freshmen and sophomores that are new to research to apply to PMP, but juniors are not discouraged and should apply if they're interested in getting more information about how to join a research lab. Being a junior and getting involved in research is not too late, and you can still get involved in research. So definitely do not feel like you are discouraged. You are very much encouraged, and a lot of our events are for all students, no matter where you are in your research career.
Thank you. Next question, what's the name of the YouTube channel where we can access the recording of the session?
So the YouTube, that we'll send that out shortly in our listserv, our first listserv email. So just join the listserv, you'll get information on where to get that link, as well as for anything application oriented. So if you're looking for links to application, when they open and close, just join the listserv, and very soon you'll be getting all that information together.
Yeah, along with that, everything will also be on our social media. So if you guys are looking for any information, I always recommend following the social media of any group that you're interested in, because that's usually the way that you get most of the information other than listserv. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, in order to partake in any of the committee events, do you have to apply? For instance, to attend a CURB Connects event, or are applications only for committee, e-board position, mentees for the peer mentorship program?
Yeah. Oh,
go ahead.
Thank you. So for the majority of these types of events, you don't need to necessarily apply, but there usually is some sort of registration process. So similar to CURB X, like what you were mentioning, I presented for CURB X back in the fall, and you do have to go through an application process before you speak. But when it comes to being able to attend these events, it was genuinely just a matter of showing up and walking into the room. For other events, for example, like Symposium, whenever we have big speakers or stuff like that, sandwiching the poster sessions and the competition aspects, people are also completely welcome to come in and see whatever speaker or event we're having. I know specifically for this year, we have quite a few panels and speaker events more than usual. It's usually only a one-day event, but this year we're making it a 4-day event in order to account for the time changes across the world. And so that is the kind of event that you would just need to simply register in order to receive the Zoom information, but you do not need to apply in order to attend. All are welcome and highly encouraged to attend.
Thank you, Annabella. Our next question, do freshman students get into research groups? Are there a fair amount of research opportunities for freshmen, and how can they get involved generally?
I might be able to take this one also, sorry. So I just wrapped up my freshman year, and throughout the fall and the spring, I actually went through the process of trying to find a lab and just trying to find a place to fit in. So I'm a biology major, and I concentrate in genetics, and and I'm very interested in that sort of thing. And so throughout the fall, later in the fall, what I started doing was looking into like the labs and just pretty much what Cornell had to offer. And then I did an interview in very, very early spring, and now I'm currently involved like with a lab. So yes, it is completely possible to get involved as a freshman. I should also note that I did this with the help of former PMP chair. His name is Ankit, but he's no longer like a part of CURB because he's graduated and in med school now. But pretty much my point is, yes, definitely. It's definitely not a path for everybody, because a lot of freshman year is often dedicated to finding your place around Cornell and just becoming more used to this huge shift in our lives. But if you are interested and if it's something that's right for you, then yes, it is completely possible to get involved your freshman year.
Yeah, to add on to that a little bit more. So we, in general, we recommend that for your first semester at Cornell to take some time and make sure you adjust to the new environment, especially given the current circumstances. But if you're interested in still getting involved in a lab immediately, the PMP program will definitely be of help to you in order to send emails. Even if you're planning on getting into research later, being a part of PMP is still very useful and gives you a lot of great skills to make sure you avoid some of the common mistakes a lot of students make if they decide to just cold email, as was mentioned earlier. But I would also like to preface this discussion with the fact that this semester is very, very different. And many professors, as mentioned before, all labs are reduced to 30 to 50% in capacity. So many professors may not be accepting undergrads at this time. That being said, that's why CURB is here to help you stay involved in the community and be involved in our events, and to potentially even help you find a position later. So I would just like to practice this. You can do research as a freshman, but understand that this semester is going to be different. So be ready to understand that you may be getting some rejections or may have to wait some more time in order to get fully involved in a research lab or group in the near future.
Yeah, I'd also like to say that the worst thing someone can always say to you is no. Someone told me that like the beginning of my freshman year, and it honestly changed my life, because like all you have to do is just go and like email them, and like PMP can definitely help with that. But like just like put yourself out there. I would say like if you want to get involved in a lab, just like even if you try your hardest and you don't, like all you can get is a no, and that's it. And so I would definitely encourage all of you to like get involved when you want to get involved. Like you're living on your own timeline. No one else is living on your timeline. So like just make sure that you're doing what you want to do and you're doing it like happily.
Thank you guys, that's super important to mention. All right, this question is probably best directed for Emily. I know that someone previously said that we can apply to up to 2 committees, but if we want to be part of different committees in later years, can we apply to different committees every year? If we want to remain in the same subcommittee, do we have to reapply during the following years? There's a lot of questions in one, but.
Yeah, okay, so once you're on the e-board, you're on the e-board for your whole time at Cornell, and you can stay in the same subcommittee or you can switch subcommittees. A lot of people choose to stay on the same committee because that's what they're familiar with, but we do have a lot of people that that change committees, and you don't have to reapply for anything. If you want to try something new, like that's totally cool. Yes, but you don't need to reapply once you're on the board.
Great, thank you, Emily. And then I'll take this one. Is there a way to shadow the research of professors or peer mentors given the virtual environment this semester? So yeah, that's where the virtual group meetings come in. Like I said before, we used to have lab tours, and we will have that again in the future. But either we will, in this case, like we will be replacing that with these virtual group meetings where you get to literally, you act as if you are, for that day, you act as if you are part of the group and you join into the group meeting or lab meeting or whatever it's called. And you get to see what, you just participate. You don't even have to speak or anything. Your mentor is there with you. You just soak it all in, soak in all the advanced stuff, whatever they're doing, all the research, see if that's more in your element. And that's the way to sort of shadow. That's truly the equivalent of seeing if that's the research you're into. And they will talk about, they will show their data, they will show what they've been working on, the publications they've been reading. And the peer mentorship program will also help you out with, what types of questions to ask and things like that if you're interested. Next question. Are freshmen encouraged to apply to be part of committees, or is it recommended to wait until later? You're definitely encouraged to apply. That's the answer to the question. Anyone, any stage in the process.
Yeah, to again give maybe a bit of an anecdote. For me, when I first came to Cornell, I knew CUR was a great resource and wanted to get involved. So I applied to the PMP program, but I was also encouraged to apply to eBoard. And I joined the outreach committee my freshman year and had a wonderful time. Ended up becoming chair last year, and now as co-president, I feel very honored in order to lead this organization, which has given me so many opportunities. So highly, highly encourage freshmen to even apply. It's a really great community, as mentioned by Emily earlier. So there's just so much that you can benefit, I think, from applying. And again, it doesn't hurt to try. So we look forward to seeing your applications.
Perfect. Can we choose to apply for the mentor program as a mentee? Can we choose to apply to PMP as a mentee, but only for the spring semester? That way we can have time to adjust. Absolutely. Yeah, this is your research journey. Most people don't start research until the summer after their sophomore year. So if you want to start earlier, by all means. I started my sophomore fall. Some people start, junior year. It really just depends on you and how much time you have. I know that I didn't get involved in research my first semester. I made sure not to do that, even if I had research experience from high school, just because, Cornell is a hard school. No matter what, it's a rigorous institution. You have a lot of intellectuals here. So you're going to be challenged, and you want to make sure that you want to make sure you're performing well in your classes, because that's ultimately very important too. So I would say, applying, it doesn't hurt to also join in the fall as well, because you're just getting information. You don't even have to act on it yet. You just need to understand what's going on, how to make sure that you're doing all the right things and not doing the wrong things. And that's equally as valuable as just focusing on your classes in the fall and then joining in the spring. We offer the same program and we make it as flexible as we can. That's why we offer it every semester. Okay, when trying to find research at Cornell, is there a formal application process, or is it an email and an interview? Okay, I'm a freshman and I haven't had internship opportunities, and these were formal applications. Is it different since I am now a student at this institution?
I can take this one. So it's a really great question. Applications tend to be very informal, and it does vary from research group exactly what the application materials are, but it tends to be just reaching out to a professor, showing your interest in what they do, and then pitching yourself as a good candidate to them. So the most common way that people do that is just by emailing professors. And so something that we do in PMP is helping you craft the best email to ensure, or to really get the highest probability that you'll get a positive response. We find that many students will go into trying to contact labs and may send many emails but not get any responses. So there's really an art to figuring this out, since it's not really formalized. There are also other angles you can take by talking to a professor in office hours, or talking to grad students as another angle in. So it's really, you can get creative with it, and PMP will address all these different ways that you can do that. And then as for other application materials, some professors will ask for a resume or CV. In rarer cases, we'll ask for letters of recommendation. So if you have all of that ready, that can only help you, but it's not, I wouldn't expect that you'll need it.
Just as a follow-up, someone asked, since it's an informal process, is the GPA factored in?
Yeah, they can be. Well, as a freshman, if you're applying your freshman fall, you don't have a GPA. So that's, of course, completely understandable. If you want to send high school information, you're welcome to do that, but there's not really an expectation to if you don't. And yeah, same thing. It's totally okay to send an initial communication with a professor without attaching your resume. They may ask for it later. So that's just something you'll have to be ready for.
Perfect. does CURB recruit many transfer students? And as a transfer, does CURB help them find a lab at Cornell? Yes. Yes. We really don't focus on at what stage you're in. We're just focused on what you have to offer right now, what you've done in the past, whether you, or even if you don't have much experience with that particular committee or that particular program, what is it about you, who you are, that would be a great asset to the committee? And we will see that through the interview, the way you write, all of that. So if you're really passionate about research, that's all we're truly looking for. And if you can just express that, and we're more than happy to recruit you.
Yeah, additionally too, CURB can help any type of student, no matter, whether you're a transfer or first year or a junior, it doesn't matter where you are. Whatever help you need, we have a committee that will probably be able to help you, whether it's getting into a lab, then PMP, presenting a research symposium or CURBEX, so on and so forth. And so it doesn't matter, your background or your experience, just kind of, we are here to help you get information about how exactly you can get involved. So yes, definitely we provide resources for transfers to get involved in a lab here at Cornell.
Perfect. So these are now PMP specific questions. If I plan to get involved in research second semester, should I join PMP in my first or my second semester? You want to join your first semester. So PMP is meant to be for the semester or the year before you plan to get into a lab. So if you are planning on finding a research position in the spring, you would want to get all that information in the fall and start emailing in the fall, go through the interview in the fall, and then hopefully you will have your acceptance by the end of the semester or in the beginning of the spring semester. And then, can we be in PMP and the e-board at the same time as an incoming freshman? Where can we apply? I would say, yeah, you can totally be in PMP and the e-board. You can't be like you can't be a mentor and like PMP co-chair, for example, but you could probably be like a mentee and in publicity or something like that. That's totally fine. And as to where we can apply, our application contains all the committees at once, and depending on what you click, it'll direct you to different components of that overall application. It's a Google form type of survey. So once you get that one link for the application, that applies to all the committees. Okay, how can I find paid research positions?
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about this. So it really depends on the department. So there are kind of three types of volunteer positions you can take. It can be paid, work study, or volunteer positions, or essentially for credit. And so most students will take research for credit because of circumstances. Mostly it depends on the department. Some departments allow paid research positions, or some departments allow work study paid positions. And some do not. So what I would do is look at your department website. Most departments have like a list of researchers or faculty members within their department. I know the biology department does. If not, you can go to the department page and just look at the faculty. And it doesn't hurt to ask. When you do send your email, you can always ask whether they offer certain types of opportunities or not. But the majority of students at Cornell do take research for credit, which does come along with a grade for most cases.
Great, perfect. Can I participate in CURB even if I'm not involved in research?
You definitely can. So one of the main goals of CURB is to help people who aren't yet involved in research. And I know that when I started CURB, I wasn't doing research yet. So it's definitely for people who are at any stage of that process, even if you aren't currently involved in research.
Great, thank you. What is the average weekly time commitment for each subcommittee and the e-board in general? That depends on the committee. I can speak on behalf of PMP. If you are a mentee, total of maybe 3 hours a week. It's such a low time commitment. Like, you might as well just join. Like, it's perfect. It's a perfect opportunity, especially if you're like an incoming freshman, you want to get involved in some way, not just your classes. You want to do something a little outside of that, but you don't want to overstress yourself. Yeah, that's the perfect program. And then if you're on the e-board, we have a weekly 1-hour meeting per week. If any other subcommittees want to talk about their specific time commitments, if it's a little more than like 3 hours or so, like maybe it changes per week.
I would say it definitely changes between what season you're in as well. If your committee specifically is holding a lot of events within a certain time period, you may be meeting more frequently with your committee. It also can depend on who you have to reach out to. We don't have to reserve any spaces anymore, so that definitely cuts down on some time. But researching or looking into specific speakers may take some time. So for outreach specifically, besides the full e-board meeting, which is around an hour, we also have a committee meeting once a week, and that takes up to at most an hour as well. So it all really depends. And then, yeah, like I said before, based on how many events you have planned within a certain time period, it also can vary in that way as well.
Yeah, it's very similar for Curb Connect as well. So other than the weekly full e-board meeting, we usually have around once per week a discussion with just our committee. And as we get closer to an event, there will be more tasks for people to do as we get closer to each Curb Connect event.
Yeah, so in a similar vein, Symposium has a very, I mean, we stay active throughout the year and we definitely have a lot of work in order to build up to these really big events. But I'd say that as we near, say, the month, particularly the 2 or 3 weeks prior to any of our big symposium events, the time commitment amps up a little bit more as we prepare and make sure that the event runs smoothly and everyone knows their roles. But in general, I would say it's about like 1 hour a week in addition to the meeting, because it's just a matter of bouncing back emails with other people and collecting the information in order to have a successful like poster event.
Yeah, for publicity, I would say it's a lot more like indirect stuff and direct stuff. So you would just be contacting a lot of people depending on what the event is. So since publicity is kind of like an overarching thing, we would have events like going on all the time, because Curb has events going on all the time, even if different committees don't have those events like separately. So it would be like a consistent time commitment of around like 3 hours a week, depending on like who you need to contact and stuff.
Anyone else? Okay, perfect. Is there a way to look specifically for work study research? So the answer to that is it really depends on your principal investigator or PI. So the way it's going to work in general, whether you're part of CURB or not, if you want to find a research position, you will need to connect with a principal investigator of a lab or multiple ones, either through email or through office hours or whatever it may be. Then, have an interview or just a casual conversation, but still professional. And then you discuss more of those nitty-gritty logistics later. If you mention that you are eligible for work study, they will most likely definitely, if not definitely, adjust to that. So it's not so much that you would look up work study research, it's more find the research first, then figure out that work study part later.
Yeah, adding on to that, when you have those sort of interviews or discussions after emailing a professor, it's very much a two-way process. So they're getting to know you and seeing if you're right for the lab, but also you're getting to know that lab and that research position and seeing if it's the right thing for you. So all of those things are things that you can bring up in that discussion and talk about, because it's very much a two-way process.
Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, I should have mentioned that too. Does CURB help with getting research internships in the summer? This could be within Cornell or outside. Yeah, PMP does that too. We will have a presentation on how to get a summer research experience, both in the fall and in the spring. So in the fall, that presentation will be towards the end, but in the spring, that'll be towards the beginning. So you have plenty of time, whether you enroll in the fall or the spring, to find a summer research experience. And we do both in Cornell, which is typically, I mean, Cornell does have like formal internship programs, either at Weill Cornell or on campus or at the vet school. But we can also, talk about how Cornell just basically the normal way you would find a research position for the fall or spring, we would give that information for the summer as well. And then we will also tell you how to find formal internships at like any other institution outside of Cornell. Besides CURB, what other research programs or resources are there?
So one to look out for is the Cornell Office of Undergraduate Research. So they host some events. They might have a presentation coming up soon. It's another resource where you can learn more about the research that's going on here. And we're connected with them. So a lot of what they do will come through us and vice versa.
Perfect. How competitive is it to apply to be a mentee? And do you have to reapply every semester to be a mentee in the PMP program? It's not really that competitive to become a mentee. For a mentor, we definitely want to see a couple more things. For a mentee, we want to see what research you're interested in, why you're interested in it, all that stuff. And just show us what you're looking for in terms of finding a research position. And we will almost guarantee that you'd be a good fit for our program. And then reapplying every semester, no. Once you're in as a mentee, if for some reason you had to go away from the program or no longer participate, we send out returning mentee and mentor surveys. If you want to be, it's truly casual. The only part that's more formal is just the initial application process. But yeah, once you're a mentee, you mentee for life. Okay, how do I find professors to email?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, and it would take a lot to answer it all in one shot. But I guess what I can say about that right now is you're going to want to look at the faculty profiles on various departments that you're interested in. And then just from there, you can see all the professors and what research they're doing. And each profile will have a short blurb on the research that they do. I very much encourage you to go further than that, because those are often very outdated, something that they write when they get hired and never change. So every professor has their own personal website, which will be linked through their profile. So go into that and then find more information there. They'll have links to their publications. If you really want to have a good image of what they've been doing recently, take a look at their most recent papers. Of course, there's no expectation you'll be able to understand really any of that at this point, but at least you can get interested and come up with some questions that you can ask them to show that you've actually looked into what they do. Yeah, and then so as for advice on how to really hone down that list, I'd really recommend join PMP as a mentee, and then you can have a mentor who will one-on-one help you procure the best list for you to contact and help you make really the best communications with them.
Perfect. And Nick, do you have anything to add? I know this is what will be mentioned in PMP, but just a really quick and brief overview of what to write in an email to a professor. Yeah.
So there are a couple of components, but overall it should be a very brief email if you want your professor to read it. So first you should have a very short introduction on who you are, what you're interested in studying. Then talk a little bit about why you're interested in their work. So show that, hey, I looked at this project that you have going on and I was really interested in that for this reason. That could be 2 sentences. And then in another sentence, how that fits into your overall career and academic goals, why this is a good fit for you, why you're interested. So that's another sentence or 2. And then if you want, you can attach your resume or CV, but you don't have to.
Great, thank you, Nick. Do our mentors change every year? And I think this sort of aligns with, I'm not sure what I'm interested in, what should I do, in terms of research. So you are initially assigned to a mentor. That's true. I've seen a couple, I was also a mentor once, and I had things changing all the time. Someone was like, oh, I'm interested in microbiology in the application. Then they had a mentor speed dating round with me, who was a cell and developmental biology research mentor. And then they were like, oh, I actually think I like what you're doing more. So is it okay if I be your mentee instead of whoever I was assigned with before? And I was like, yeah. So it really can change. You just need to talk to like the co-chairs of PMP. And as for every year, no, like if you want to stick with your mentor, that's fine. But if you want to switch to another one, that's also fine. And I think if you're asking like, do the mentors, like, is there a new cycle of mentors every year? No, if the mentor wants to stay part of PMP, they will stay part of it. They just have to get in the first time, and then it's up to them. And they would have to do something really bad for them to leave or something. So yeah, that's totally fine. And again, we're trying to make this the right program for you. So, but that requires you to be vocal about what's working for you, what's not. And we will do the adjustments for you, but we need to first know the problems if there are any. Is it possible to engage in research remotely this semester/year?
Yeah, so I can talk about this one a bit. So yes, it is completely possible to get involved in research remotely. In fact, it seems like most labs will most likely be doing something like this, especially for labs or research groups that are not wet labs. I believe most opportunities will be involved in a remote sense because of safety and physical distancing requirements enacted by Cornell. In terms of even wet lab, some may still have remote opportunities, but some may also allow in-person. It really depends on the professor and their comfort level. But I will say there will be opportunities. And another one of, I guess, our goals through our listservs and our emails that we'll send every other week, we're going to talk about advertising some of those opportunities, as well as in PMP reaching out in order how to do that. We'll also be having a workshop, hopefully within the next couple of weeks, to talk about how to maximize remote research and how to engage in it in a way that allows you to grow, but allows also the research to move forward. So look forward to that in the next coming weeks.
Ananya, just to clarify, could you just briefly mention the difference between a wet lab and a dry lab?
Yeah. So a wet lab is mostly where you're directly in the lab and you're working with specimen or chemicals or something along those lines, versus a dry lab doesn't necessitate the use of a physical space in that sense. So yeah, actually it seems like there's a follow-up question. So will there be in-person research opportunities for those of us on campus? So as I mentioned earlier, all labs are now reduced to 30 to 50% in capacity, and all professors that hope to have undergraduate researchers must include that in their plan to reopen their lab. That being said, it seems only 10 to 15% of professors are going to do this for their undergraduate students. So we would like to preface everything we're saying with that it will be difficult to find in-person opportunities, but it's not that they don't exist. So it really depends on you personally, whether you feel strongly about the in-person aspect or not. But that's what we're here for, to help you kind of figure out how exactly to approach these professors and how exactly to get involved, whether it's an in-person or a remote setting.
Thank you, Ananya. Will there be a new application for mentees in the spring of 2021, or do I need to apply now for the spring? No, you'll have a new application every semester. Am I expected to understand research papers professors are writing before I can start doing research? They always seem so complex, and I'm worried I may not get there for quite some time. I feel you. Yeah, we all do. It's hard. And PMP, for the first time now, will be talking in the very first lecture presentation. We're going to be talking about intro to PMP, how to get involved in research with emails, and that includes a significant section on how to summarize a professor's paper well enough that you show in your initial email that you know what they're talking about and you know what you're talking about, and how to get those key points. So we definitely got you covered there. And don't even worry, like I know I'm not even like, I don't think any undergrad is truly fully proficient in like reading advanced publications, no matter the subject. It's something you build over time, over years and years of reading. So definitely don't worry about it, and PMP's got you. Oh, okay, Ananya, you were talking about this, but does that percentile range limit the people that can be in the physical space, or the total amount of people that can be involved? If you're working remotely, are you still limited to that 30 to 50% restriction?
Yeah, so that specific number applies to the amount of people within the lab space. And again, like I mentioned, it really depends on each professor. They can still be taking as many students as they normally do, but it'll be on a really strict schedule, or finding ways to make sure that that space requirement is maintained. That being said, though, professors are very much in a tough spot, because not only are they trying to figure out what they're doing for their online courses, or their courses that may be in person, and trying to figure out that whole situation out, as well as trying to maintain their own current research projects with their grad students, postdocs, who are also limited in the ability of time that they're able to come in or have any kind of in-person or remote work. So that being said, a lot of professors may be reluctant still, because of how busy they are, to take on additional undergrads. So even though that 30 to 50% number does not apply to the remote opportunities, you may still see a decrease in the total amount of opportunities. So definitely just be aware of that.
Perfect. So this might be a question for Lizzie. Will CURB have research opportunities to connect with and work with local initiatives in Ithaca?
As of now, we don't really have any specific ideas, but if we have new members who can contribute and bring up new ideas, that would be great. We are working into talking about diversity in research, and this is something that's especially important to us right now regarding Black Lives Matter and that movement. So we hope that we can not only talk about diversity in research just at Cornell, but also open it to the general public. So for high schoolers who are maybe doing research currently or aspiring to do it in the future, we hope to just talk on those experiences and bring minority grad students, undergraduate students who can speak about what it's like being a minority and working in a lab space.
Thank you. What is the interview process like? Emily, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So for CURB's e-board, we will send you an email about a week after the application closes. And the interview is honestly not scary at all. It's kind of fun just to talk with us. It's more like a conversation than an interview. And there'll be like probably 4 of us interviewing you, and we just ask you questions about your application, like why you want to join CURB. We might give you like a few prompts that are CURB related, and we just really want to see like what kind of ideas you have. And after the interview, it should be about 15 minutes over Zoom, nothing too crazy. We'll email you about a week after that and let you know if we want you on the committee.
Thank you. This is a question for Symposium. Can you talk about some of the guest speakers that you will connect with, or any outside of Cornell people who are getting involved?
Yeah, sure. I will. I could take that. So just this past fall forum, we for the past fall forum, like last year, we had actually Vice President Lombardi, who you've probably heard from quite a bit lately with everything going on with COVID. He came and he spoke for our event, and I believe 2 years ago we had a Cornell professor, Roald Hoffman, who is a Nobel Prize winner and is in our chemistry department. He delivered our keynote lecture, and we've had a lot of exciting speakers from a number of different fields, and yes, that's pretty much it. We're working on an extensive lineup for our upcoming fall forum. Right now, we have a few of the speakers who we have confirmed for our fall forum is a man named Robert Weinberg, who discovered the oncogene. He is a molecular biologist at MIT. And we also have an electrical engineer from NASA coming to speak as well. And these are just a few of the many different webinars and panels that we'll have going on for the symposium. And yes, we're in the midst of coordinating that event right now. If you, yes, so.
Perfect, thank you, Annabella. So this might be a question more for upperclassmen, but how has joining CURB influenced your college experience? That's a good question.
Maybe we can start with some of our seniors, so Nick or Emily.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Yeah, I'd like to share. I've been involved in some way with CURB since I started out here. I was a mentee my freshman fall. I became a mentor my sophomore fall, and then joined the PMPE board that year. And then this year I'm the president. So yeah, it's really been a whole journey throughout my entire Cornell experience. And I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to be a part of it. It's really been amazing to have a community of undergraduates where we can really share our research experience and enable each other to succeed, even though what we do is so different. So yeah, it's really a fantastic community, regardless of what level you get involved with. You know, whether it's joining PMP to start out or attending like our symposia and CURBEX, having this presence on campus of like-minded and motivated individuals who are interested in research is a really great way to meet different people and talk about some really interesting fields.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. I could go on for days about how much I love CURB, but I'll keep it short for now. Being on CURB at first as a member of the Symposium committee and later as recruitment and social chair has given me so much opportunity for leadership and professional and personal development. And I've really learned a lot about event planning and managing, you know, interviews and scheduling time and working with all different kinds of people. And it's like Nick said, like it's just really great to be surrounded by a community of people who really love research and are really passionate about what they do. And especially as social chair, I've really gotten to interact with everyone on eBoard and just really make CURB a home for everyone. We're really like a family on the eBoard. I love everyone dearly, and you should all definitely join CURB because it will change you as a person, make you a better person.
Emily, do you also want to talk about some of the social events that we're hoping to do in this more virtual setting?
Sure, yeah. So a few weeks ago, the eBoard had a virtual game night, and we played this Cornell-themed version of Cards Against Humanity, and it was so fun. Definitely like one of the best virtual social events that I've been to. And so we're hoping to do things like that, and also other game nights like Jackbox and trivia night through Kahoot, which is always a great time. And that is what we're thinking for virtual things right now, but there are going to be a lot of virtual events because they're fun and we love each other.
Thanks, Emily. Can you talk about the different ways in which CURB is supporting diversity at Cornell overall?
Yeah, so we definitely, I mean, not only in response to recent events, but also CURB has always been committed to diversity, whether it's diversity in our subject matter that we deal with in terms of research, but as well as in ethnic and racial backgrounds. And we really strive to create opportunities for all people, no matter your background, especially for people that have certain barriers that prevent them from as easily getting into research. So we've had a couple you know, more initiatives, and we're really working on making sure that we are able to reach all students, both with our programming, but as well as through our application process, as well as trying to increase the breadth of the types of subjects that we include in all of our events, specifically in PMP, the research that's presented at Symposium, as well as departments that are represented at our grad student panel event. Additionally, we also on our website have some resources in response to diversity in research, as well as diversity in general. So if you're looking for more specific information, you can go look over there.
Thank you so much, Nanya. And then I think we'll just have one more question. If there are any additional questions and we didn't get to some, we'll make sure to look through the chat again and address them either through our listserv or through some other means, but we'll definitely make sure to reach out to you. And if you have any further questions, again, if you scroll up a little bit, you will see that we've listed again, like all the ways in which you can connect with us. And we will be having our YouTube channel out soon. Okay, so how much do the different committees interact with and work with each other?
Yeah, Publicity can take this one. So especially like working with Publicity, we interact with all the different committees and basically just help everything work smoothly and like help people know about it. So especially other committees also work with each other. So like there was a grad student panel that went really well last semester. So it was between like outreach and PMP. And also we had like a humanities showcase that I know Symposium was working on last semester, and CURB Connect was also working on like a small like history themed dinner. It was called Dinner Series last year, so that's like the dinner. But so they all interact with each other, and you do get to know everyone on board kind of well. Oh, also, would you guys be okay if we all dropped our like net IDs so they can like contact us? I think would that be great for you guys? Okay.
So all of our net IDs are, we can drop them in the chat as well if you have any specific questions directed to any of us. But we will also, on our website, if you look under people, all of our names and net IDs are all on there. So feel free. And it says, what chair, what they are in charge of. So if you have any specific questions, please feel free to reach out to us individually. We love to interact with you all and answer your questions. So we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, guys. If there's any last minute question, we're still here. If not, though, we're ready to end 4 minutes early. You're welcome. We're so happy to have you guys come, and we were so thrilled at the number of people who showed up. This was our first time doing an event like this. We're hoping to do more in the future, thanks to this overwhelming support. You're welcome. You're welcome. Wow, it's great.
This is what we're here for. We're excited to serve the research community here at Cornell.
You're welcome.
So yeah, I hope the rest of Q Week goes well for you guys. Yeah, we hope to hear from you soon through our, we'll be sending out communications shortly through our listserv, and we hope to see you at all of our events.
Yeah, and just one last quick thing. You will definitely hear from CURB, whether it's through, like if you actively go out to our social medias, that's great. But also be on the lookout for, we're going to be reaching out to professors, and hopefully they'll be advertising about the e-board as well as the peer mentorship program through, their classes. They'll post like flyers on Canvas or something like that, or in their emails. So please be on the lookout for that too. And just know that we have a great presence on campus, and we're happy to reach out to you guys just as much as you reach out to us. So we're very thankful for everyone who's been showing up here and who's interested in getting involved in research, and we really hope that CURB is a big part of that journey for you guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.